Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome into the 143. We're coming at you live with episode 173. Nick, how we doing tonight?
We're doing good. Got another baseball episode for you. It's ramping up right now. Got some good news for the Rangers, so we're excited for that. But just another day at the office.
Yep, another week, another episode, because if there's one thing you know about us, we will always be bringing you content week after week. Your stat of the week, brought to you by our sponsor, Andrews Logistics, is actually about hockey, because let's just say the NHL playoffs have been delivering in a big way recently, a lot of electricity. Those games, even if you're watching them on TV, you can just tell how hyped the atmosphere is there. We got to talk about the Stars. That's our team. We're based out of Dallas here, and Stars had a big one on Saturday night, Game 7 against the Colorado Avalanche. And the stat of the week is Mikko Rantanen pulled out a hat trick, scoring 3 goals in I guess the last 11 minutes of the third period. All 3 of them came, and the third one kind of sealed the deal, put us up 4-2 at the end of the game. Dallas comeback win Saturday night in Game 7, pretty electric. But Mikko Rantanen against his former team, when the lights were brightest, he showed up, and so he had the hat trick. That's your stat of the week.
And yeah, if there's anything we know about life, it's death taxes, and the Stars owning the Avalanche. Let's see, beat them last year in a 6-game series, and then before that was 2020 in a 7-game in a Game 7, I should say, and then Game 7 again this year. And then speaking of death taxes and owning people, this coach who we're going to point out, not player of the week, coach of the week, I believe he was the player/coach of the week around this time last year.
Most likely.
It was around the month of May. Pete DeBoer wins Game 7 once again, moving on to 9-0. And we just got to point that out every time it happens, just because the stat only gets sweeter and sweeter with, as the years in the series progress on. Dallas goes to Winnipeg tomorrow night, which is Wednesday, and Game 1 will face off against the Jets there. Gonna be a big one. Already super pumped about it. I feel like the boys will be buzzing. They were, getting hot there at the end against Colorado. Our Stars really stepped up, and then we'll have Heiskanen and Robertson back, so that's going to be good. So just super pumped for, hopefully that Stanley Cup in June.
Yeah, Nick, sources are saying there was a Nick Jarvis sighting. Were you in the field Saturday night? Were you at the barn?
Yes,
How was it?
Yes, we were. It was probably one of the greatest sports experiences of my life. Just absolutely electric from start to finish. There was kind of a lull there the first 7 minutes or so of the third period, and then Mikko Rantanen gets us on the board. And then, the last 3 minutes of the game, everyone was going hype. When Dallas goes on that power play late, you just had that feeling like, okay, they're gonna take it here. And then the last minute, everybody was standing every single time Jake Ottinger made a save. The crowd went nuts. So it was just an insane atmosphere to be in. There's nothing like playoff hockey. The environment is just different. You can feel it. Even sitting at home watching it on the TV, You can see the difference. It's just insane. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. That power play was executed to perfection from all the guys, but Wyatt Johnston with the goal. You got to take this momentum heading into the next series. It's going to be a tough one, but we'll be following them as usual. It's nice to see one of the Dallas teams making their way through the playoffs.
Figuring it out. Yep.
Yeah. Haven't seen it since last year when the Stars and Mavs were doing it. So we'll probably not see the Mavs there anytime soon again, but it's nice to see the Stars back in it. This time, kind of the underdogs in a lot of ways. A lot of expectations last year. This year, not everybody was as high on the Stars, but proving them wrong, So also Pete DeBoer, man, Game 7s are the hardest games to win, being undefeated. 9-0. It's
That's a
pretty crazy.
ridiculous stat. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it happens maybe 3 or 4 times. You can say, all right, it's a coincidence, but to do it 9 times and not lose one, that's how you know it is the coach. Like, it's truly.
Yeah.
I don't know what he says to him in the locker room. I would love to sit in and just see the culture and just the locker room presence, because he's definitely telling them something. He's flipping a switch in their brains that's, just making them perform up to that next level. I mean, 9-0, that's pretty ridiculous.
Bruce Bochy also undefeated Game 7s. The Dallas coaches kind of have it. These guys have been doing it for a long time, been doing it very well. So, yeah, keep watching the Stars. Tune in tomorrow night. But speaking of Bruce Bochy, let's move the focus over to the Texas Rangers. It's been really tough watching Rangers baseball lately. As guys that watch or at least, look at the game cast pretty much every game. We've been scoring 1 or 2 runs a game, maybe 0, and we've been losing by 1. Pitching staff, just doing great. Starting pitching had the lowest ERA in baseball for a while. Offense, just atrocious. Could not hit with runners in scoring position to save our lives. Tuesday night and Sunday, we won, scoring more than 5 runs both games. Pretty crazy. Seemed to be trending in the right direction offensively, but even after Sunday's win against Seattle, amidst probably like a 5-16 record over the last 21, I mean, just awful. We were so bad.
I know there for a stretch we were 2-8 after. It was like something like that. I believe Saturday, the 10 games before that, we were 2-8 or something like that, which is absolutely abysmal.
Well, if you do the math, going, because it was like 2-8 for a while, but since the Dodgers series, we've only won 1 game a series. So basically 5 wins, however many losses there are after that. It's terrible. I mean, we started the season out pretty great, but we decided to part ways with our offensive coordinator, Donnie Ecker, as well as center fielder Leody Taveras. Here at Under Review, we just want to say these guys helped us win a World Series. Nothing but love for Donnie Ecker and Leody Taveras. The Leody Taveras thing was written in the stars because a couple of his errors in center field has actually lost us a couple of games. And Nick, I don't know how you feel about seeing those two leave, but
we feel the same way about anyone that was on that 2023 roster. It's just thank you for your time and for giving us what you had when we needed it. But especially for Leody, his time was definitely up. Last year, 2024, he was not good at all. And then this year, he swung it pretty decently, but, I mean, he was just awful playing center field.
The liability.
Defensively, it was ridiculous. And it's like we've got Evan Carter, who he's supposed to be the next big thing for us. He played outfield tonight, which is Tuesday night, and he looked good there.
Did a great job.
The other thing too is, we always think about Leody Taveras, and what always comes to mind was the clutch Game 1 walk of the World Series when we needed it most, and then just got plenty of good things to say about him. Can't hate on the guy. He gave it to us when we needed it, so. It was time for him to go, and so we'll see. I don't want to say hopefully he's successful because he's playing in Seattle, so don't want to see him be too successful. And then offensively, we needed a huge change. I mean,
we did.
For how good our hitters are to not be hitting, it was. I mean,
it was crazy. Yeah,
top to bottom, we should have an incredible hitting lineup, right? Top to bottom, and it just wasn't happening. And we were wasting a good season of pitching. We didn't even really need to talk about pitching just because that's been the one thing that's been incredible, from starters to relievers to closers, everything. I mean, just been absolutely phenomenal, and we were just wasting it. I mean, Evaldi's been lights out. We have Jacob deGrom back finally. Even Tyler Malley's been pitching
Tyler
good.
Malley's been great.
And he's kind of a average or so pitcher, but for whatever reason this year he just flipped a switch and he's been great. But seen a lot of moving parts in the starting lineup. Marcus Semien was our surefire leadoff hitter forever since he got here, and then 3 weeks ago, whenever that was, bumped him down, and he's been kind of moving up and down the lineup.
Yeah, he's been good in that 5 spot.
Josh Smith came in and led off, and he was good. Wyatt Langford did the same thing. The one big thing we talked about in the offseason was how can we keep Josh Smith in the lineup, and we've found a way to get him in every single night just because with how good he's swinging it, you got to have
plays
that
everywhere.
in the lineup. And
he plays
can
everywhere
play
too.
Anywhere. Yes.
Yeah.
He can play outfield. He can play infield. I mean, he's just too good of a guy to not have in your lineup every day.
Yeah, big thing, hired Brett Boone as a new hitting coach. We didn't let go of our hitting coach that we had before, but Donnie Ecker was basically a hitting coach. They just called him the offensive coordinator. But Brett Boone, never been a coach before, was a great hitter back when he played. Brother of Aaron Boone. Brett's been here one game, and the guy swung the bats very well. Either way, you just needed a serious change, and you need a guy who's going to come in and not look at it as analytically, but as a previous player who's never been a coach, not an analytics guy by any means. He's coming in just, he's going to help with the mentality part of it is what I was hearing, because the other hitting coach, and I forgot his name, but the other hitting coach, apparently he's more analytical. So maybe, the two of them working together can spark a little change in these guys' mentalities. But tonight, Tuesday night, Jock Peterson had a single and a ground rule double. That dude hasn't been hitting all season, and he finally decided to get a couple hits tonight. And I think Corey Seager being back in this lineup after being hurt for a little bit has made a big difference because there's another guy in the lineup that pitchers already fear. For the most part, it was kind of just Marcus Semien that they're not scared of Adolis Garcia because he swings at everything. The rest of the guys are still young, still making a name for themselves. So good to have Corey back, but the offense needs a spark because, like Nick said, we are wasting a phenomenal season of pitching. We're 17. Well, tonight we're at 500. We're 18-18. And the way the pitching's going, if we had just scored a couple more runs per game, we would have a pretty easy winning record right now. Now the Rangers have had the second toughest schedule thus far in the MLB season. We've played a lot of good teams, and looking at the schedule, other than the Rockies here, the next few series are pretty tough. We've got Boston, Detroit, Colorado, but then we've got Houston. And we want to be firing on all cylinders whenever we play Houston. So, it's gonna be interesting. But I like Nick agree that the offense it needed a change, and it happened.
Well, it's like we could easily be 8 games above 500.
Yeah.
Right now, where it's like the pitching and defense is holding them to 2 runs a game, 3 runs, something like that. And then it's like we can't even score more than 2 runs or something like that. There for a while.
We're leaving guys stranded on base.
So many guys left on base. Just kind of going back through, looking at some of the games that we're losing. Yeah, scored 1 run. Scored 1 run, scored 2, scored 2, scored 3, scored 2, scored 0. And it was kind of like that Reds series where we had to get back-to-back shutouts in order to win the game because we only scored 1 run. And so that was we were winning that thanks to our phenomenal pitching, but the offense really needed a change. And it's only been 1 game, but this
the difference is huge.
Culture or whatever it is, maybe bringing in a guy like Evan Carter could help change the mentality a little bit because this is his first game back in the majors. He battled that back issue last year, and then he started out the season in the minors, and he was doing real good there. He was slashing in AAA, and so maybe bringing in him could help boost that mentality, and
Yeah.
getting Brett Boone as well. He's had an immediate impact, and so hopefully these are all long-term changes and not just a one-night fluke deal.
I think whatever happens this season, you really can't put it on the front office because Chris Young and his staff have done a phenomenal job of putting this team together. And then, like right now, it's, when we needed an offensive change, we didn't wait till it was too late, till the season was over or whatever, like even to the middle of the season. I mean, it's May. Not many people make this massive change in May by firing the offensive coordinator, bringing on a guy that's never coached before. So you got to hand it to Chris Young. He's trying to win right now, and I have no doubt that Bruce Bochy and the coaching staff are also in that same boat. You can't really at some point. Bruce Bochy's not the one up there swinging the bat. Donnie Ecker really wasn't the one up there swinging the bat either. These guys have to take some accountability. And I'm sure that seeing, a couple guys lose their jobs because of how bad this offense is will also help get you going where it's like, oh, man, I better start swinging the bat and hitting the ball, because guys like Adolis Garcia, guys like, Jock Peterson, Jake Berger's already been sent down. Like, if your name's not Corey Seager or Marcus Simeon, your job's not completely and totally safe if you have a 30-40 game stretch. Now, Jock Peterson's kind of similar because he's making a lot of money as well, so he can't really be sent down because we paid him too much. But he's on the upslope here, swinging the bat nice lately, getting some good contact. But yeah, changes needed to happen. Chris Young made them happen. These hitters, the guys playing, in the end of the day, this comes down to them and whether or not they can perform. And the last two games they have, but, we got to see it more consistent. We got to start winning some series. That's the key. You got to win the series that you're playing. You'd love to sweep every series, but that's just not going to happen. You got to win the series.
They swung it well again on Sunday, and so hopefully you're thinking that, all right, maybe they'll start getting in a groove here. They're not going to be scoring 8-10 runs every single night, but it's just at least the offense, even when we're losing, putting up a decent fight. Like, you can't, you got to be scoring more than 2-3 runs on a consistent basis. You got to be up there making it competitive at least every single game, and so just hoping that we can continue this momentum and maybe the offense has found their groove, but, just don't want to waste this season of good pitching just because I feel like that's something we haven't seen very often as Rangers fans. In 2023, whenever we won it,
we're not used to great pitching.
It kind of seemed like it was a little bit of the opposite, where it was just didn't really matter because our offense was going to overpower every single body that we played, and so just seeing the polar opposite almost this year.
Also, another thing we really haven't seen this year is the long ball. Home runs are very few and far between right now for this offense. I would like to see those start to ramp up, but obviously you got to get your confidence back when you're hitting. Which I think that's what we're working on right now. The true test is really going to come in games where we're down in the late innings and we're going to need offense. The last couple games we've jumped out ahead pretty quick. Both fourth innings have been big, Sunday and Tuesday. That's when we scored most of our runs, but it's going to be these late innings when we need the runs because we're down or we're tied. That's going to be the true test. So we'll see how it goes as the season keeps going. It is early, but it was getting to a point where it really wasn't an overreaction of how bad the offense was.
Well, it's like when you see it that many days in a row, it's like, okay, this is a trend. This isn't a coincidence, so something's got to happen. I'm not too worried about the home run deal. I think once the guys start swinging it again, like they were tonight, that's going to come in time. It's just getting everyone's confidence back, getting their swing back, and just getting back in the right rhythm and mentality for these guys. So that's what we got. Here's like to end our shows on Under Review. Brought to you a quote from the Nolan Ryan, and he said, "Enjoying success requires the ability to adapt. Only being open to change will you have a true opportunity to get the most from your talent."
Ain't that the truth?
From the legend himself.
We appreciate you tuning in this week on Under Review. At least for, this series, please tune into the Stars. Hopefully it'll be over in 4. But if not, continue to watch past that. And saw the Winnipeg Jets release some kind of like theme song today, and it wasn't great. I don't know if you saw that. So I'm feeling pretty good about our chances. Yeah. But yeah, tune in. Stars taking it on. Obviously, watch the Rangers. But we'll see you next week with another episode of Under Review.